Hello and welcome to another episode of Abstract Thesis series, and in today's video we are going to discuss the newly released feature in February 2024, that is visual calculations. Yes, visual level calculations have arrived and we are going to have a deeper look in today's video. I am on the February 2024 release notes feature summary, and if you scroll little bit down you will see all the features, and one of the features which has been released in February 2024 is visual calculations. Let me click on that and go to the feature. So let's read the release notes. A new way of doing calculations has arrived. You can now add the calculation directly on your visual using visual calculation, which are text calculations. Remember, these are text calculation that are defined and executed directly on visual. A calculation can refer to any data in the visual, including columns, measures, or other visual calculations. Means you can refer the other visual calculation also. This approach removes complexity of the semantic model and simplify the process of writing DAX. You can use visual calculation to complete common business calculations such as running sum, moving average, etc. Visual calculations make it easy to do calculation where previously very hard or almost impossible to do. So very interesting feature. How do you enable it? So you have to go to options and setting, options, preview feature, select visual calculation and click on OK. I'm going to showcase you that. And then there are certain examples have been given. There has been a separate blog on the visual level calculations also on the blog.powerbi.com, and it has been explained in detail along with all the visual level functions. The documentation of the visual level function is also available and it has provided great details. So let's read few part of this documentation to understand the visual level calculations better. So visual calculations is the text calculation that defines and executed directly on your visual. Visual calculation make it easier to create calculations that are previously hard to create, leading to simpler DAX and easier maintenance for better performance. Example of running sum has been given. You need to simply use running sum sales amount. Visual calculation differ from other calculation in DAX. How? Visual calculation aren't stored in the model, instead are stored on the visual, which means visual calculation can only refer to what's on the visual. Anything in the model must be added to the visual before visual calculation can refer it. Seeing visual calculation from being concerned with the complexity of filter, context and model. Visual calculation combines the simplicity of the context from the calculated columns with the on-demand calculation flexibility from measure. Compared to measure, visual calculation can operate on aggregated data instead of detailed level, often leading to the performance benefit when the calculation can be achieved either by new measure or visual calculation later often leads to better performance. It means in case you have an option to create a measure versus a visual calculation, you can opt for visual calculation for better performance because it is going to work on the aggregated data at the visual level, not at the detailed data. Since visual calculations are part of the visual, they can refer to the visual structure, which leads to more flexibility. There is one more article which you can refer to, which tells you the difference between custom column, power query, calculated column, measure, calculated table and visual calculations. Again, how to enable visual level calculation and some examples has been given. So first simple example was sales amount minus total product cost. Then there are few things which has been explained here, like you can hide the fields from the visual. These options have been given now to you. When you open the visual level calculation, at that time you can hide fields. So let's read that out. In visual calculation edit mode, you can hide fields from the visual, like you can hide column and table in modeling view. For example, if you wanted to show the profit visual calculation, you can hide sales amount and total profit cost from the view. Then there are using templates. So there are already existing template which you can use, which is running sum, moving average, percent of total, percent of grand total, averages of children's, versus previous, versus next, versus first, versus last. What are these functions? Running sum, moving average. Running sum, you might have understood, it is going to give you running totals, or what you call as cumulative. Moving average calculates the average of the set of given values in a given window by dividing the sum of values by the size of the window. Percentage of parents calculates the percentage of value relative to its parent, uses collapse function. Percentage of grand total now become very easy. Calculate the percentage of value relative to its value using the COLLAPSEALL function. Averages of children, you can use expand. Calculates the average value of set of values, uses expand. Versus previous, using previous, means the preceding value. Next, subsequent value is next. First value in the window or visual. Last value, last value. Now there is something known as axis. Many functions have optional axis parameter which can only be used in visual calculation. Axis influence how visual calculation traversing in the visual matrix. Axis parameters set to the first axis in the visual by default. So it's by default set to the first axis. For many visual, first axis is the row, which means the visual calculations is evaluated row by row in the visual matrix from top to bottom. What are the different axes? Row calculates vertically across rows to perform top to bottom. Column calculate horizontally across column from right to left. Rows column calculate vertically across row from top to bottom, continuing column by left to right. And column row means calculate horizontally across columns from left to right, continuing row by row from top to bottom. Then many functions will contain reset. Many functions have optional reset parameter which is available in the visual calculations only. Reset influence if and when the function reset its value to 0 or switches to the different scope while traversing the visual matrix. The reset parameter is set to none by default, which means the visual calculation is never restarted. Reset accepts there to be multiple levels on the axis. So there need to be multiple level on the axis. Axis means your bar visual can have like axis like brand or category. So that is what we mean by axis. Similarly, when you are using year, month and quarter, they are your axis. You are displaying a visual there, you have year, then you have quarter, then you have month, then you have day. So these are your axes. Something on which we are grouping the data, the categorical variable used in the visualization. If there is only one level on the axis, you can use partition by. The following list describe only valid values of reset parameter: none, highest parent, lowest parent. Highest parent and lowest parent means the parent which is at highest. So example has been given, like if you have year, month and quarter, highest parent is year and the lowest parent is quarter. It means the lowest most axis value is not participating as a parent. It can also be used like values like 1 and 2. So in this case, because there are only 2, so highest is 1 and lowest is 2. So if you want to restart, like when we are doing running sum, now you want to transfer this running sum to, let's say, YTD. So you can use running sum highest parent. So it will reset at the year level and you will get YTD. Axis and reset versus order by and partition by. Axis, reset, order by and partition by are 4 functions that can be used in pair together to influence how the calculation is evaluated. They form 2 pairs that are often used together. So axis and reset on order by and partition by. So with axis you can use reset and order by you can use partition by. Order by and partition by are the calculation you might have seen in the window function, offset function, index function, rank function, and row number function. Then this has been explained how to use this. Access and reset are only available function that can be used in visual level calculation and can only be used in visual level calculation as they reference to the visual structure. Order by and partition by are the function that can be used in calculated column and measure and visual level calculation and can refer to the fields. While they perform the same function, they are different in the level of abstraction provided, referring to the visual structure, more flexible than explicit referencing fields using order by and partition by. See, in case of access and reset, you may not be really explicit. And we will take this example when we do running sum, that even if I change an axis, it can still do the running sum. So let's say if I'm having a visual at the category and if I change it to brand, the running sum will continue to do the calculation, and that's the benefit of visual level calculation. So let's say I have year, month, quarter and day, and I use previous function. So my expectation is that when I'm looking at the day level, it should show me previous day. When I look at the month level, it should show me previous month. When I look at the quarter level, it should show me previous quarter. And when I look at the year level, it should show me previous year. We have to check that at the visual level calculation. But if you use the order by, then order by is very explicit. It is day means it is day. Even if you change your visual details, it is still order by day. So order by is going to call explicit. When you need explicit, you can use order by partition by. When you don't need to be explicit, you can use access and reset. Available functions. You can use many existing DAX function in visual level calculations. Since visual level calculation can work with confine of the visual matrix, functions are rely on modern relationships such as relationship, related and related table aren't available. These are the visual calculations available with you: collapse, collapse all, expand, expand all, first, last, moving average, next, previous, range, running sum. Limitations: not all visual types are supported. The following visual types and visual properties have been tested and found not to work with visual level calculations or hidden fields: tree map, map, shape map, Azure map, slicer. It means it's not going to work on slicer. R visual, Python visual, key influencer, decomposition tree, Q&A, smart narrative, matrices, paginated report, ArcGIS map, power app, power automate, small multiple. Visual calculation and hidden field can only be added and edited using Power BI desktop. While you can publish the report containing visual level calculation to Power BI service, you can't edit visual level calculation or hidden field in Power BI service. So that's not available on the service as of now. To edit it, you can use it and publish it. Performance of this feature isn't representative of the end product. So as of now, you should not be too much bothered about the performance part of it. Reuse of visual level calculation using copying and paste or other mechanism isn't available, so you can't reuse them as of now. You can't filter on visual level calculation. Visual level calculation can't refer to itself on the same or different detail level. Personalization of visual calculation or hidden field isn't available, and there are many other which you can go through this article. I will be sharing the link of this article also into the description. The model which I am going to use is the model which I am using in most of my videos. So let me go to the model view. This is my model. In my model, I have a central sales table which is joined with date dimension, item dimension, geography dimension and customer dimension. All joins are one-to-many single directional. This is a retail sales data with sales date, delivery date and keys like customer ID joining with customer, city ID joining with city, item ID joining with item and sales state joining with state dimension. The PBIX file and the source file required for this model is available on the GitHub also, from where you can get it. If you want the files which I am using in the video, you can go to github.com amitchandak pbi/Power BI, and here if you scroll down you will find most of the file which I use. Some of the important file is at small github.pbix, which is a PBIX on my common sales model. If you further go down, you will find pivotdata.xls, which is used for Power Query videos. Then you will find important files like sales data used in video, which is used for most of the Power BI recordings. Case data for Fabric, which is used for most of the Fabric recordings. RLS brand data, which is used for RLS. Current employee.pbix, which is used for HR data. Current employee record.xls, which is the source for PBIX data. For beginner tutorial series youtube.xls, this file is usually used in the beginner tutorial series at the beginning, before I started using the sales data used in video. There are quite a few other files which has been used in different videos, and in those videos you will find the reference of those files on GitHub. Some of you are not able to access the GitHub account. You can ping me in the comments and I'll provide you the Dropbox link of the same files. I have added a new page, visual calculation, and on this page I am going to add a table visual and start showcasing you visual calculations. To start with that, I will go down and from item I'm going to drag brand and create a table visual. A table visual is ready and I've sorted it on the brand. Time to add a new visual calculation, and the option is available under the home tab, new calculation. Let me click on that. Opens the window very similar to the focus mode window, and there you have a pane where you can give your visual level calculation, the FX pane or the formula pane. Now here right now before I started the visual level calculation is hidden. I can hide the measure if I need. I can't hide the axis or the group bys. So let me create the first visual calculation, nothing but running sum. The function which I'm going to use is running sum, and I'm going to give net parameter. I'm going to leave everything else and not going to give any value for those. Now I can use the commit to commit the calculation, or I can also press enter. I'm going to press enter in this case. The calculation is added to the visual, and as you can see the visual calculation which has been performed here, it is adding up the previous value in each rows, all the previous values. So if you look at here, you can see all the rows is the sum of all the previous rows. If you want to edit the calculation, you can click on the arrow and you have option to edit calculation. So we have done a very simple calculation running sum, and we have given net as an argument there. Let's go back to the report. Now what's the advantage? I was doing that using measures. Okay, maybe they are faster, done on aggregated data, but is there any other advantage? So to understand that, let me do one thing. Let me go here on the brand and change it to category. Can you still see the running total working fine? This would not have been the case in case I would have created this calculation by any of the traditional methods. Now I do have tested this with field parameters, and as of now I was not able to add the field parameter to it. But the moment the field parameter is supported, it would be really amazing, because the moment I'm changing my field in the calculation, it is still keep on working. Now let's use another visual function, and the function which I want to use is COLLAPSEALL. Again, new calculation, and I'll use the function COLLAPSEALL, but that is total or GT, grand total. COLLAPSEALL. What all COLLAPSEALL required? expression and axis. So expression is net, and it is suggesting me to use the running sum also, but I just wanted the net, and how I want the direction, row wise down is the direction which I want, and let me use collapse all. And as you can see, it has given me grand total. Now I can create two functions from here, percentage of grand total and percentage of running total. Again, they are going to be the visual level calculations. So let me create a couple more. So one is percent of total, which is nothing but divide net by GT. Now I got the percentage of total, or I can add it and multiply it by 100 star 100. I got percentage of total so easily. No calculation worries. Just simply taken GT and used it on the measure. How simple it is. Now let's go ahead and do one more, which is percentage of running total. So again, click on the new calculation, and here we are going to use the percent of running total, and what I'm going to do for that is divide. So we are going to use divide, and we are using the regular dex functions here. Divide is a regular dex function, by running sum, which is a visual calculation, divide by another visual calculation, which is GT, completely based on visual calculations. Edit calculation, multiply by 100 as of now. So let's go back to the report and understand these. So first row 22%, you're fine, because percentage of total in the first row is going to be the same. In the second row, the running total will add, and I'm not doing the running total of percentage of total. I'm simply have calculated it on running sum. I could have done it on the percentage of total also. That is another way to do it. And then another 14% getting added, another 23% getting added, and 100%. So such a easy to do these calculations now. We have already seen two functions, but there are many more, so we'll continue to look at those. So let's do next calculation, and next calculation which I wanted to do is moving average. So I go and clicked on the new calculation, and let's call it as move avg, and the function which is available with us is moving average. In the moving average, I can give an expression. Expression is nothing but net. So expression window, do I want to include the current, axis, row, column, blanks, and where you want to reset. So window is 2. Oh, I only want to do for last 2. So I want to include the current. As of now, I want to include the current, so I'll keep it. Otherwise you can have the values like true and false, but let's start with only moving average. So what it is doing right now, so basically the first value is the self, the second value is the sum of these two, which is 43 something, and just you can see that it is divided by 2. Now the next would be the sum of these two, which is around 3.6 million divided by 2, and you can see it's 1.8 million. Next one is going to be sum of this, which is going to be around 2.9 million divided by 2, which is 1.47 million, and again this is going to be sum around 2.5 divided by 2, which is 2.223. So in this manner you can see we are getting moving average. Let's go back. So we have got net, we have got running sum, we have got GT, percentage of total, moving average, and as you can see we can go and change it, the axis, to something else, and this calculation still holds true. That's the beauty of these calculation. Why don't we learn few more function? I would now like to experiment with few more calculation, and the calculation which I would like to now showcase is previous and next, which is going to give us the value of the previous row and the next row. So to begin that, home tab, new calculations, back to the visual calculations, let me call it previous. Function which I'm going to use is also previous. No previous month, no previous quarter, no previous year, only previous. And we have expression, steps, axis, blank, and reset. And step means I can go beyond one. So I want to compare with previous month, that's fine. I want to compare previous to previous, then I can use steps and do it. I want to go further down, let's say 11 month or 12 month down the line, that also I can do by using these steps. It could be month, quarter, year, whatever you want to use based on the requirement. And it is visual level, so sometime if you have a disconnected data and you want to compare with the last available month, think about how much big calculation we have to do. This should resolve that out, because it's just looking at previous, it's just a visual row. And what previous of what? Net. Anything else we want to give? Step, yes, definitely I want to give step, one step. And because we have function like previous and next, it might not allow you the negative integer, it is only the positive integer which has been allowed here. It should give me every time the previous row, and the first row will not have any previous row because there is no previous for the first one. And as expected, the first one doesn't have a previous, rest all as a previous. Look up here, and based on these values you are able to see the previous values here, going one down, trailing. Previous, well understood, very simple. Let's do the next calculation. Next, the function is very simple. Next, net, comma, one step, done, and we got the next calculation. And this time it would be a one row ahead. And as you can see, in this case the last row will not have it because we are going one row ahead. We are looking into future values and there is no value for the last row. So in this manner we are able to do previous and next calculation. Let's go back to the report and check this out. And as you can see, we are able to see the next and previous calculation. And as usual, if I change the axis to category, it's not going to make any difference. I will get previous and next of the categories. Let's add a couple more calculations. The calculations which we want to do right now is basically first and last. So before I do that, let me again change the axis to front. Need a lot of values to look at the calculation. That's how, you know, only 5 category first and last are just a couple of steps away. Let's go ahead and try that out. So again, home tab, new calculation, very simple. First, think about is how you're going to do it with the regular DAX index function. It's easy, but even that would require what is the order by, and you need to mention an explicit column for that. So function is first. Let's look at the arguments: expression, axis, blank, and reset. We are only going to give one argument as of now, net, and that should be sufficient. Let's check that out. Calculation has been added, and as expected, it is just giving me the first row value for all the rows. So I can now find out percentage of first. Now let's calculate the last value. Again, click on new calculation from the home tab. Name is last. And the function we are also going to use is last, simple, net. Only one argument, but it can take expression, axis, blank, and reset. We are only going to give one argument as of now, net, and as expected, it is showing the last value. Let's go back to the table and look at it. Now we have quite a few calculations. As you can see, we have first and last also. But we have more visual calculations, so we'll continue to explore those. So the next function which we are going to check out is range, and it's a little bit different function, and I'm going to tell you one different operation which you might not have seen till now in Power BI. Okay, so let's jump on to the new calculations from the home tab, and I want to do a calculation which is range. Now range can give me moving average, but I want a moving sum, rolling sum, and that rolling sum I'm going to do using the range. So let me do rolling 2 and little bit different functions, so that's why I'm using calculate, and I'm going to use net here, but I'll tell you it might not work, so we'll come back to that later. And I'm going to use function range. Now the range function, as you can see, the arguments are step, include current, I want that, yes. Axis, which is rows, blanks, reset. The first argument step is -1, means one step only, last one step. Include current, I want yes, that is true. What is the next? Axis, which is nothing but rows. But when I give these arguments and I enter, it gives me error. And now to correct that, I'm going to edit this calculation. Clicked on the arrow, edit calculation, and I'm going to do something which you don't do. I'm going to put sum on a major. It's a major, and usually we don't put sum on a major. We go ahead and use sum x for that. But here I'm doing that, and immediately I get the correct calculation. It means you will be able to use sum, average, etc. on your measure to get those rolling sum, the rolling averages, and your life has been made further easy by this. Let's understand these calculations, are they correct or not. First row is going to be the same, the second row is going to be around a million, the sum of these two. The third row is going to be the sum of these two, which is around 1.5 million. So let's look at the calculations. So rolling here is same, here it is the 2, which is last two rows, but this is 1 million, this is 1.5 million, and similarly here is going to be 1.2 million. It's coming from here, these two on the top, and you can relate. Just for your reference, let me put the arrow here. So now we have got rolling, and if you have done a little bit different kind of calculation, and let's open up a all set of new calculations which you can do. Important function range. So let's go back to the table, and before we move to the next set of calculation, we need a different kind of a visual where we at least need to have a couple of axes. So let's begin the journey of few more special calculations, visual calculations, where we are going to get few more detailed or few more easy calculations just by using these visual calculations. Now to explore further the visual calculation, I've added a new page because the set of visual calculation I want to explore now is going to require me at least to have two levels. So let me create a matrix visual for that, and in that I'm going to add state and city on the row, expand it, going to add a major net, and let's start the two calculation, expand and expand all. Again, from the home tab, new calculation. Let's look at the calculation. Expand, and it requires expression and access, and basically expand is going to work at the next level in the context. So the details would come from the next level, and we have to understand that I'm going to have expand all, and then I'm going to show you the differences, and then you will understand how these calculations are performed. So let's give here average. I'm going to use average function, and I'm using it on a major net. This is what you can do in the visual level calculation. And the next thing which I compulsory need is rows. Axis is rows. So expand, and you might not see the difference, but when you scroll down you will see an average happening at the state level and simply, and at the grand total level this number doesn't seems like an average of cities, because if you look at the number of the cities, the number cannot average to 200k. This is actually the average of state, and that's what expand does. It is average of a level below. And to explain this further, let's also bring in expand all. And expand all function also require two argument expression, where I will be doing average of a major. Here again I'm doing an average of a major, net, and the second argument is axis, which I'm going to use rows. And here if you see, you will see a little bit of difference in the averages. Yes, it is the averages of city. It is the average from the leaf level. It is always calculating it from the leaf level, not from the next level or the level below. So let me go back to the report and try to explain you this. If you look at these calculations, look at how the averages is happening. You should be very happy to see these averages happening at the state level from the city level. No more those context plate defining what's below. I can easily go ahead and change it and add another levels or replace these levels, and they will continue to work. But what's the difference in the grand total here? To understand that, let me collapse it. I'll drill up one level. My calculation here remains same, but now you can understand looking at this data where I have a million here, I have a 400k here, which are pushing up my calculations towards the 232 as an average of the states. If you further go down, you do see some bigger values. I can sort on the net so that you understand these values a little bit better. As you can see, quite a few big values are there here. I change sorting back to the state. So expand is doing it from the leaf level. To understand it further, let me add one more level. First of all, I'm going to expand it, and I'm going to add one more level, which is brand from the item. I have added brand from the item, and immediately what you observe that this number is not changed in the expand, but the expand all number has changed. And why? Even if you look at the city level calculations, those calculations are little bit different. They are not same as what we previously had. They were same when we didn't have the brand. If you go down, you will see these are nothing but the average coming from the brand level, and even on the level above, it will continue to be from the leaf level. So this expand all is doing the calculation at the leaf level, expand is doing at the next level. And what does that mean for you is basically, when you see at the city level, it is average of brands. When you see at the state level, it is average of cities. When you look at the grand total level, it is average of states. So in this manner, these two calculations, expand and expand all, works. So this will help you to solve the common problem which we wanted to do, average of sum or sum of averages. A very common problem and a very simple solution in visual calculation. Now we are going to look at the two functions, which is basically collapse and collapse all. I've already shown you collapse all once, but the time has come that we again look those two things together. I'll go to the new calculation and I'll first do here collapse. And collapse requires expression, x's and n. So it's basically going to give you the grand total or the parents total. It's basically going to collapse it. Here I can use net, comma, rows, and as you can see here, it is collapse is getting its grand total, but the cities are getting the total of the state. So to understand that, look at the state total. This is my state total. So cities are getting the state total, and if you further go down, brands are going to take the city total, collapsing from the parent to child. So I'm getting the parent's calculation at the child level. So that is collapse. But if I do collapse all, which is going to bring a grand total for me, so let me add a new calculation, that is collapse all, or I can call it as GT, but let me call GT1. I can already calculated GT, not in this visual. I've calculated another visual, so I can have the same name, but just use now collapse all. And the collapse all is going to do it all at the final parent level. I can use net here, and I can use rows, and this is nothing but grand total. So now you can easily calculate percentage of parent, percentage of grand total, again use them back into new calculation, or you can edit the same calculation to get it percentage of total or percentage of grand total. Collapse and collapse help you to get the parent values. Now go back to the reports and let's understand these things. So here we have already opened Arizona. and we have opened one of the city of Arizona and their branch under it. If you see here, this is the total of the city and this is given at the brand level. Now when the Arizona has been opened, Arizona has a total of 471. Look at the city totals. All the cities are getting the Arizona total. When you go to the states like Arizona, you get the total, the grand total, which is above one level. It collapse is collapsing one level at a time. Collapse all is collapsing all the levels. As you can see, we are getting the grand total here for all the rows, irrespective of whatever level we are at. We have now learned collapse and collapse all also. We already have a quick glance at these calculations, but we would like to explore the reset functionality. I would like to see how would it work in case I want to create a running total which is not going across the leaf level, but can it reset itself to at year level. So let me add another page, and here I'm going to create a line visual, and in this line visual I'm going to bring in from the date table year. I'm also going to bring in quarter, and I would also like to bring in month, and I would like to bring in a measure net. So I'm all set already with my visual. This is my visual and how it's showcasing the values for last couple of years. And let me do a sort on the axis. So I have my visual ready, and here I want to have a running calculation. Let's first of all add a visual level calculation from the home tab, and the new calculation which I'm going to add using the home tab new calculation is running sum net, and let's call it RT. And as you can see, the moment I take an RT is going up, and if I go back to the report, you can see it's continuously increasing. I don't want to add another calculation. I just want to go ahead and modify this. So I'll click on this arrow and use edit calculation. And now I would like to look at the other parameters of RT. So axis is definitely rows only, blanks, and I want to reset. I want to reset at what? I want to reset at the highest parent. So highest parent is here, and I want a reset there. Let me try that out. And what do you see immediately? You see there is a fall happening in the month of January. Let's go back to the report and understand that. As you can see here, there is a reset happening. And this means now I am getting YTD, no more I am getting running total RT. Can I get it further down to the number 2, which is quarter? Let's see. As you can see, now it is giving me QTD, not YTD. Every quarter there is a reset. So look at the January, look at the April, look at the July, look at the October. Let's add more complication. Let's add date. What happens? Now the reset would still happen at the level 2. The level 2 is still quarter. So the reset is happening quarterly still. Can we do it? And remember, this quarter is in the middle, and that's why knowingly I have added here 2, and I added one more level to showcase you that the reset is not happening month level. So there are more levels available here, and it has taken care. This is the second level. So 1, 2, and 3. Is it 3 or is it 1? Let's go back, edit calculation, move the level to 3, and let's understand this calculation once more. And now you can see the reset is happening at the month level. So the highest level is 1, the second highest is 2, then 3, 4, and keep on going. We are not including the current level. The current level is not part of the parents. So your parent as a year is 1, quarter is 2, and month is 3, and we have given 3 as of now. You are seeing MTD in this particular trend chart. Now you understand how easy these calculations are and how easily we can use visual level calculations to create those complicated calculations in an easy manner. We are just working at the visual level. The visual row is the row. The visual level is the level. And that makes our life easy. It's just like Excel, we are doing it. Those who likes the Excel calculation very much and find it easy to do those kind of calculation, this is one step nearer to that. I have shown you quite a few visual calculations in detail, but there is a quicker way to do some of these calculations using templates. So where is those templates available? So for that, let me add a new page and quickly add a table visual with item brand and net. Visual is ready, and now let me add new calculation from the home tab, new calculation, which is a visual calculation. When you come to the visual calculation, look at this FX icon. When you click on this FX icon, you get the options for some templates. So without doing much of the effort, you can simply get some of the calculation. The only thing which you have to do is just click on any of these calculation, let's say percentage of grand total, and go ahead and add the required field. Now I'm going to replace it with net, the field with the net, another field also with the net, and axis with rows. So we immediately get percentage of total. Same way, I can click on the FX icon again and use versus first. Again, I need to replace the field, where I can replace it by one of my measure, which is net, which is also present in the same visual, and I am getting percentage diff with first. Same way, you can utilize running sum, moving average, percentage of parent, percentage of grand total, average of children's, versus previous, versus next, versus first, and versus last. So not only you can create these calculations by using the functions, but you can also use some of these templates. So go ahead and try those out. So why don't you go ahead and explore these calculations out, and do let me know what else you want me to cover in this particular series. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you.